Digital Nomad Art here. Hello, everyone. It's January 20th, 2026, and I am just going to make a YouTube video. I normally write in my journal pretty much every day, and I usually have something that I'm thinking about that I want to put down and tell. I'll just record it for myself for future reference and stuff. Usually, I have some pretty profound thoughts and I want to get them down onto paper. Well, today I decided to go ahead and just make a video and share today's thought with all of you. So if it resonates, please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If it helps you, even better. It's the only reason why I'm making it. I put my thoughts down to help me, and if it can help you, well, that's definitely a bonus. And there's so much going on in the world, and it can be quite overwhelming for a lot of people. And I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I get a lot of feedback and information from them about what's going on. I like watching videos that people share, and they share their own opinions about things. And I get a lot of inspiration from all of you, so I decided to go ahead and make this video. Today I'm off of work, and this is me being burnt out from 4 days straight of hard-ass, bust-ass work. So I am staying in my jammies today, and I chose to just relax today. I don't want to deal with the other human beings. I've had enough of them for now, and I just want to take some solitude. Solitude is very important. You'll find that you can gain a lot if you can be comfortable with yourself and take solitude in the moment. And I've learned this over many years. I am naturally kind of a loner, so it's easy for me. For some people, it's very difficult, and they must go out there and engage with reality and just party, do whatever they need to do to alleviate their boredom. I'm never bored when I'm just in solitude. Like I said, I journal, and I also like to watch TV and movies and things like that, and I write in my journal. So that all takes up the day, and I like coffee. So I usually have a couple of cups of coffee a day. So I had one already, and right now I'm going to have and make a second one. Oh, I made this pumpkin right here. This is my drawing. So I feel really good that I made that. It's cool, isn't it? All right. So here we go. So let's start the coffee process and talk about today's thought, my own musing. I woke up and, I'm not going to shave. I think I'm just going to let my face rest because I shave every day. So I'm just going to let this grow out a little bit for today. And just going to chill. I told my coworkers last night, several of us are off today. And we were joking, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not doing anything today. No laundry, no chores, no nothing. I'm just going to relax. And I got to get my strength up because they split my days off. So I'm going back for 2 more tomorrow, and then I got Friday off. So I need to recoup and re-energize myself. So I have the opportunity to just relax. I could go somewhere. Yesterday I went to the store because I said, I could go to the store today on my day off, or I can go before I go to work yesterday. And I said, if I wait till today, that means I'll have to get up today, get dressed, and go to the store and deal with everybody and the lines, and just, I didn't want to go. And I said, I can go to the store yesterday. I buy all my stuff that I need. I was out of half and half for coffee and so on. So I said, I'll just pick up everything, and then I won't have to leave the house today, and I can just relax, which is what I'm going to do. So anyway, so let's get on with the musing and the making of the coffee. Today I was thinking a lot about the game of chess, and I don't know if you've played chess before, but chess is a really fun game. I haven't played it in years, really, but the symbolism involved with chess is kind of important because it's kind of a metaphor for life in a lot of ways with strategy and so on. And I was thinking about the character of the pawn, and I was thinking about how we're all, in a lot of ways in today's society, and maybe it's always been that way, we are all pawns, all of us working class, all of us that are in struggle right now and in survival mode, and a lot of people out there are living paycheck to paycheck. And you see videos that are being posted where people have decided to move into their cars. That's really hard. That's a really hard life to do. It's not as easy as it sounds. Trust me, I know. And I would not recommend that you do that. But some people must, in order to alleviate the cost of survival and living, because rents are so high. I don't advise that for anybody, but if you have to do it, it's possible that you can do that for a while and get by and save some money. Just don't get stuck in that life. So all of us are like pawns in this big game, this system that we've all been forced to live out. Especially nowadays, it seems like there's more and more pressure on everyone. So this idea of the pawn, if you play chess, you know that the pawn can move across the board, and once it reaches to the other side of the board, it can become a queen, which is one of the strongest pieces you can have on your board. She can move in all directions, and very powerful piece to have. So if you can have multiple queens, and you can get the pawn to the other side of the board. And if you have 2 queens on the board, oh man, you're really in a strong position. So as you move that pawn across the game board to try and get to the end to get a queen, there's so many obstacles. Suddenly you become a target, because the other opponent doesn't want you to attain another queen on the board. So that pawn suddenly becomes a target from all the other combat pieces on the board to take it out before it gets to that side and can become a queen again. Either save the queen that you sacrificed or lost, or get another queen. It can also become another piece as well, like a rook or a bishop or a knight. But I don't know why you would do that. I would just get another queen. But at any rate, so the pawn becomes the target because it is now trying to elevate itself. Now here's this thing I was thinking about, is that the pawn, start making the coffee here. The pawn is often thought of as the most weakest piece on the board. It can only move in the one direction, and when it attacks, it can attack sideways only, diagonally. Other than that, and it can't go backwards. So it's kind of like always forward moving, and then and it can only move one space at a time, except when it starts the game, it can move 2 spaces as it advances, and then it's one at a time to the end of the board. And they're often sacrificed by the other pieces in the strategy. They get sacrificed to do things on the board. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is that we often think about it as the weakest piece on the board, when in fact, it is one of the strongest pieces on the board. So, follow me now. If we're all pawns on this great game board of life, they've convinced us that we're actually very weak pieces. We're weak, when in fact we are very strong. Let me heat this coffee up a little bit, all right? I gotta just turn the fire on. And let's set the cup up with some coffee. Hold on. So if we're often thought of as being weak, that's not the entire truth. We're actually very strong. And why are we strong? Because we have the ability to identity shift. We have the ability to elevate, to be promoted, right? The pawn can promote itself when it gets across the other board to be a queen or a rook or a bishop or a knight. So, since we can elevate, we become dangerous in the system. And they don't want us to know that we have the ability to elevate ourselves, to be promoted. They don't want us to know that we are that strong. And once we start to accept in ourselves that we have that power, the power structures that control us, like at work and so on, they see us as a threat to their authority. I'm going to have some Peet's Off-Grid coffee. It's really good. So, the pawn is the only piece that can transform itself to a higher level, can elevate itself. So if you feel like a pawn, know that you can actually transform yourself and rise to a higher level as you move within this system, this game board that we are all, this game that we're all a part of, that we all have to play. If you think about the pawn also, the pawn is always in survival mode because it is surrounded by all these stronger pieces that can just wipe it out in an instant. You know, out of nowhere, just all of a sudden, boom, that pawn is gone, right? So when you look at this, the pawn that usually is able to get to that other side of the board to transform itself, it does so when the other pieces strategize and distract the other strategy from the opponent and keeps them busy other parts of the board, so the pawn can slowly, take those little one-step advances each move and reach the other side of the board. So just a thought. So that's just the idea that I had, that the pawn is really one of the strongest pieces on the board because it's the only one that's able to identity shift and elevate to another level. Keep that in mind as you go through life and you feel like a pawn. The other thought that I had, which I'll share since I'm still making this coffee here, this was a few days ago, I guess. I wrote this down actually in my journal. Was about the idea that you have a choice. We all have choices. But the system we're in, the way things are, the way our lives are controlled by powers outside of ourselves, like corporations and things that we don't have any control over, really. Government and so on, different things, policies, all the stuff that's going on around us. You see it in the world, right? Well, I had to swipe that away. I just got a notification. So, let's see. So that we all have choices, and we've been conditioned to believe that our choice doesn't mean anything, that we're weak and don't have that power, that self-empowerment to make positive choices. Now, a lot of people, they make wrong choices. just go through social media, you can see all the people making these very, very wrong choices, and it's dire in their lives. I just can't even, I don't want to go there. I don't want to get into that political stuff, but yeah, you see them all over the place. People making really bad choices. Other than that, though, if you make good choices and you think about what you're doing and you don't make stupid decisions that mess up your life, and that's a lot of power you actually have as a person to make good choices. And those choices have consequences, and you want to have good consequences in your life. So choice is a very important part of that. And those choices, that power of making choices, that's a part of freedom and liberty. That's part of making you, giving you back your own agency to direct and take control over your own existence, your own life, because it's your life. This is my life. I chose not to go to do anything today, to chill out, relax. I made that choice, right? I could have made another choice. I could have made a choice to go to a shopping mall or something and spend a lot of money waste a lot of money that I don't want to waste, just so that I can fulfill my boredom by doing stuff. I don't buy a lot of stuff, so people make that choice though, and then they don't have any money, and then they wonder where their money went, and it's like, well, if you spent the money, you're not going to have the money. So it's choices, again, shape your reality. So you have a lot of power. Let me put this down here, and I'm almost done with my coffee. So when you make those choices in your life, you have to really weigh them out on what the consequences are going to be in those choices that you make. You want to make good choices that are positive for your life, your growth, and your future. And society can make this very difficult. Through all the pressures, I need to get half and half. Through all the pressures that we go through at work, at home, in our relationships, how we interact with other people. Oh, this is going to be a good cup of coffee, I can already tell. Cheers. Very tasty. I'm going to move over here now and sit down and chill out over here while I finish this. All right, and get comfy because I'm relaxing today. Yeah, there we go. I'll probably watch some Tubi movies later. Tubi's really cool. I like that platform. Always find something good to watch on Tubi. I told this to one of my coworkers yesterday. Because TV lately has been just garbage. Really. How many times do they need to show Harry Potter anyway? And like the Star Wars movies and Fast and Furious and all these movies, they just keep repeating the same stuff over and over again. So I'm not playing their game. I like choice. So I'll go to Tubi and I'll just pick something out for that. At any rate, so let's enjoy this coffee and finish this thought. So think about the choices that you have before you, because this is an acknowledgement of your power to control your own life, your own destiny, to make your life something of value to yourself and to others, to your loved ones, and so on. It is your choice. And society today seems to want to make it that we don't feel like we have much of a choice. We feel trapped. some things you have to do, like go to work. It takes money to survive. Unfortunately, that is the truth of the matter. Um, and if you don't have any money, you're gonna be miserable. I've I've been employed. I've been unemployed. I know what both sides of the coin is, and being unemployed can be a break for a while, but eventually, if you don't have any money, you're gonna be so bad off, and then it makes it hard to look for work and stuff because then you don't have any money for gas and so forth for your car, and it's just so we have to work. I guess it's always been like that, right? Money has always um, been the decision maker in a way of like how your life is going to be, your lifestyle, your livelihood. Um, so you got to go to work, and a lot of us that go to work every day. Um, it can be if you don't like your job, and a lot of people don't like their jobs. I get it. Um, I bitch, moan, and groan about my job all the time, but I'm just venting. But I do know that the responsibility is mine to get up and be disciplined and go to work, and that's a choice. I have a choice. I don't have to go to work, but I also know the consequences of that choice if I decide not to go to work. So your choices matter. Uh, you go to work, you agree to show up on time, you agree to do the job that you've been chosen to do for your position. Um, you agree contractually, you agree to their rules and policies of the company you work for. But it is an at will relationship. Of course, they have the power to let you go without a reason. They can just let you go, right? And lay off, whatever. And you have that same power. You can also step away. You can go get another job, change jobs, take a break, reassess, come back. It's better not to quit your job if you don't have any money saved for at least 6 months of survival. Um, that's ideal. You want to be able to have enough money to survive till you find another job, but it's also not good to say, well, I got 6 months of money saved up and I can survive. I quit, and then 6 months go by and you've just burned through all that money that you had saved, that sort of safety net. So you have to be strategic about switching jobs. More coffee, yeah. The point is that it's a choice. The employers don't want you to know that it's a choice. They want to make you feel you're stuck because they know, because they have leverage over you, that you need to go to work and you need the job. And so you have to put up with their crap so that you don't, so that you can continue to pay your bills and stuff. This is why earning passive income and other income streams is often noted as being a good strategy. Not only does it protect you in case you suddenly get laid off from your main job, you have other streams of income coming in, but it also gives you a feeling of empowerment and leverage because, if they push you too far, you can be like, well, I've got other avenues of money coming in, so okay, well, see you later. This is another reason why you want to save up money when you can. I know it's tough out there right now, but if you can, you gotta figure out a way to maintain your finances in such a way that you can actually save some money and don't spend it. Oh, I see kids. Okay, check this out. I see a lot of young people going to like these. I'm not going to mention any company names, but I see them going into the different coffee shops or the different fast food restaurants, good places, I guess. I guess food's all right over there, but they go in there. I'm like, why are they spending their money like this. I mean, I don't have any kids, but if I had kids, I'd be like, bring me back the receipt. How much did you spend over there for that meal? $30. You just spent $30 for a chicken sandwich and a soda and a side of something. It's like they're just below their money. They have no concept of like, do you realize that over time, if you keep saving that money, it's going to give you more. You'll have more money, which gives you more leverage and more power, and so on. Now I can't really be too bad on them because we were all like that growing up, so I understand how that is. But it's so important to save, and my mom would always tell me to save for a rainy day, and so you definitely want to do that. That's another choice, how you spend your money. So back to the original thought, we're all pawns in this game of survival. But the pawn is the only piece that has the ability to transform itself and to elevate and to level up, to be a higher piece on the board, to go from rags to riches. The pawn has that ability. So don't knock yourself if you're feeling down in this current culture where everything is just overpriced, out of control, and they're just trying to bleed us dry. They're diminishing our ability to level up. They're saying, oh, no. Middle class? No. We don't want you. We don't want you. No. We don't want you to become a middle class. We want you to be, everyone else is either a higher class or a lower class. Let's just wipe the middle class out. Not going to happen on my watch, but that's a choice that I'm making. So I hope this little informational video here gives you something to think about, to ponder, and help you out as you go out through your 2026 and elevate yourself, rise up, make positive choices. You have the ability to change your life. Don't let anyone ever tell you you don't have that ability, because you do. You can stand against this system. You can find ways around it. You can, it's like a computer, like a computer system. You can install a better operating system, your own system, design systems, structures, right? And you can, I thought about it this way too. When I went to the store yesterday, everything was so expensive. I noticed that the simple things that I used to buy to kind of keep costs down, like different foods and stuff that I would get, some frozen foods and so on, but these foods are all going up again. And I said, I noticed that, and I realized that, so I used to buy these foods to save a little extra money on my shopping expenses for food and beverages. And then I realized that now all of those foods have gone up. So if I want to maintain that lower level where I was at of spending, I have to buy more unhealthier foods, less quality foods, and smaller portions of food. So like, just for an example, a can of soup, I'm not going to mention the brand, but a nice can of soup was $3.29 for a can of soup. And I was like, seriously? $3.29 for that? And that's just like one can of soup? So I'm going to come home from work tired and I'm hungry, and I'm just going to be like, I get to have a can of soup instead of like a nice, maybe a big frozen dinner, right? It's like, or something, more substantial and healthier, I guess. Um, so anyway, the idea was, are they driving us to put more unhealthier foods in our bodies, make us sicker, weaker, to the point of starvation, to the point that, you know, we get sick, whatever. It's all by design. It isn't just, let's just inflate prices. There's something insidious going on behind all of this. So the way I see it is, for me anyway, on this whole shopping thing, is I have to find better foods that I can buy, put them together, cook, and so forth. Find alternatives that are still healthy and still maintain a lower price. They do this because it's convenient. So you're going to buy convenience and just buy all this stuff because it's like, well, just get that, get that. Now the rich people, well, people that have a lot of money, they don't have to worry about that. They could just buy whatever they want off the shelves. They can go to the store and just pick up whatever they want. No difference to them. They got money. But for the working class, the people surviving, the people that are, cash strapped, that's like you're taking food from kids' mouths, literally, because now the parents are like, well, my kid wants to get that box of cereal and now it's like too expensive and I can't buy it. And then it's like, well, what can I give them, to eat instead? It's like, before he goes to school, before she goes to school, whatever. It's like, it's a shame, It's like, when I was growing up, we didn't have that problem. We had a lot of food. We weren't rich or nothing, but we always had our cupboards and stuff were filled and refrigerator was full and, prices were agreeable. So this is an attack on our ability to stay healthy and well, and to feel like our lives have, a good feeling, a good healthy feeling of well-being. And this is to make you feel broken down, weak, like a pawn. And so, once again, this was just another thought I had yesterday, because I did go to the store before work. So I'm going to continue relaxing today. I'm going to just sip this coffee some more. I hope this video finds everybody doing great. Hey, it's a new year, 2026. You got the whole year. Let's make some changes. Let's do some positive things for yourself, your life. Level up. You can do it, just like I'm doing it. So, if you like this video, please like, please share, please subscribe. Definitely please subscribe. And if I see some, a lot of people liked it and stuff, then maybe I'll make another one like this. Or I'll just go back to doing faceless stuff. But just let me know, all right? You take care, everybody.